My name's Anna Richards. I am the Director of Global Legal Operations at John Deere. I've been, I call it lawyer adjacent, my entire career, which at this point is about 16 years. Started in eDiscovery, where I worked for about 10 years, moved into legal operations proper following that, and haven't looked back. I actually find lawyers really do like data. Every department I've been in has been hungry for data, almost to the point of not knowing what to do with it. So we have these excess of dashboards. My challenge back to the attorneys is really what decision or action is this data driving, and being a little bit ruthless about the pieces that we're pulling out and putting together. The transformation in the industry has been wild to watch. There's just such a rich source of places for us to pull data from. Easy places being, around spend, e-billing, and contract work. So those are probably the most obvious places in legal. Also the anecdotal work around satisfaction, how we're progressing as departments leveraging more advanced technologies, and then obviously the DEI efforts, which are really important and inform metadata. Let's see. One of my favorite stories with data is making the case for a headcount in legal for every 20 salespeople hired. So this was happening at a very fast growth company. We were getting overwhelmed with the volume of contract work that was happening, and we didn't have budget in legal to support the type of turn that was coming in the requests. So what I did was partner with my general counsel. She did benchmarking with her network. I looked internally at our contract cycle time, in addition to working with our sales ops team on the forecasting efforts that they had. We put together a plan that showed, generally out in the market, what we're seeing is X amount of attorneys for X number of quota carrying head for sales. We took this back to the worldwide head of sales. We didn't have budget, mind you, in legal. Decided to ask if he would be willing to cover costs for one attorney head count for every 20 hired in order to support the work that was coming in for his team. And because of the return on investment that we were able to demonstrate through the data, we got that approved, and therefore we're able to keep pace with industry and to continue to hire because we were able to make the case with data and tell the story. Yeah, we have had those. I think there is a breadth of things that you can pull and take from in terms of the type of data that you're reporting on. And to the earlier point I made, I think that having, an action or decision driven by the data that you bring out is really crucial. Otherwise, you just end up with a bunch of disparate dashboards. So I've been in roles where we've been asked to send out from our sort of goodness of our hearts and trying to circulate data around, okay, for example, spend, and sending this out to each practice area manager and all of the kind of breakdowns sideways like that you can think of, right? It takes a huge amount of effort to pull together manually. It's getting less so as people are becoming more expert in Power BI and the sort of business intelligence tools, as well as AI helping us. So maybe this will be something of the past soon. But you create these very, very data heavy resources which just aren't getting used. And it sort of becomes the newsletter of the data world. It kind of goes into the bin and nobody does anything with it, which is a disappointment when it takes so much time and energy to pull together. Yeah, there's certainly no one path into legal operations, and that's one of the best things about this industry. We have folks from every stripe of life, every type of experience that come in. I think the common denominator is curiosity, and really the drive to make decisions and empower folks with data, in fact. So as long as there's the interest, the aptitude will come and is something that you can work on. But I think making sure that you're talking to people, seeing how folks are doing things, and then becoming creative, that's really where things start getting fun. There's a foundational knowledge aspect, but as soon as you can start breaking the mold on that and not being limited by how you're seeing other folks do it, I think it's a fallacy to do benchmarking too closely in our industry. It's great to see who's doing what, but just because a big name company has a certain product or does things a certain way doesn't mean it's the best way. It just means that's how they're doing it. So take it with a grain of salt, be creative, flex, and let's see where we can go. So I think the biggest impact that legal can play across the organization is really being those trusted advisors. The legal team is there for a reason, right? Like, and I think the way that I'm seeing many teams kind of distribute across the org is becoming very embedded in the business. So taking what they're seeing, both because they're out on the forefront of the regulations, this kind of new space of privacy, which legal doesn't often have new things. So it's very exciting for us to be working on that, take our expertise back to the business and be those trusted advisors. I think that's going to be the key differentiator. Technology is going to continue to advance and get better. We're going to be empowered to do more faster, but being able to tell the story and being able to be a trusted advisor and understand your business and to add that layer of critical thinking upstream as far as you can is really where the impact comes.